The David Horowitz, the Freedom Center, Front Page Magazine, former radical, and one of our leading conservative voices in America, and you will save the world, right?
Sure.
All right. Congresswoman Bachmann got raked across the coals for trying to tell America that there has been a Muslim Brotherhood infiltration in the White House. Why was she attacked?
Actually, she was more polite than that. She asked for an inquiry. She was attacked because the political correctness of the time, which is, in my view, the party line of the left, has been established, which is that the Muslim Brotherhood is a secular organization that nobody needs to fear. In fact, it's a fanatical religious organization with Nazi politics. It wants to exterminate the Jews. Its spiritual leaders have said it in so many words.
Now, not just in the Quran.
It's the force that created Al-Qaeda, that created Hamas. It is the organization of the jihad, and it's a totalitarian organization. It wants to impose Islamic law on everybody, which would deprive women of rights, every minority, Jews, Christians, atheists, and it has infiltrated our government. Huma Abedin, who Michelle Bachmann was asking about, is a Muslim Brotherhood operative. Both her parents and her brother are, well, her father's dead now, but leading Muslim Brotherhood figures. And for 12 years before she was hired by the State Department to be Hillary Clinton's deputy chief of staff, she worked for a Muslim Brotherhood operation that was created and funded by Omar Nassif, Abdullah Omar Nassif, who was one of the three principal funders of Al-Qaeda, of Osama bin Laden. So it's a nightmare situation. It's worse than when, Whittaker Chambers went to Roosevelt in 1938 to warn him, because Whittaker Chambers had been a member of the Communist Party and a part of the underground, and had a Soviet agent controlling him. And when he had second thoughts and left the party, he went to warn Roosevelt that one of his right-hand men, Alger Hiss, was a Soviet agent. And he told the Assistant Secretary of State Burley this story. And Burley, when he told it to Roosevelt, Roosevelt laughed. Which is kind of what McCain and John Boehner, I mean, the Democrats don't even have, of course, they're in full throat to get her removed from the Intelligence Committee for asking a very important question, not only a reasonable question, but an important one. And this is the state in which we're in. You have to remember that Winston Churchill was a despised, ridiculed backbencher as late as 1938 until the Munich capitulation to Hitler, trying to warn the British that the Nazis were a threat. And this was deemed ridiculous. And so today in America, if you say the Muslim Brotherhood is a threat, both in the Democratic Party, which is deeply involved with the Brotherhood, but also with Republicans, you get ridicule. It makes people uncomfortable to understand how dangerous the situation is. I think it's a kind of denial.
What can be done about it then, if our government isn't doing anything about it?
Conduct a campaign to tell the American people, to wake them up.
How do we do that when the media is denying this and ridiculing us for saying this?
The media, I mean, if Republicans would be saying something, if they weren't all so cowed and intimidated. There are only 5 out of 242 Republicans in Congress who would sign the Bachmann letter. If there were 200 of them, it would make a big difference.
So it's just politics. And do they not? What's it going to take, though, to make them wake up?
Denial is a very common and understandable human trait. You don't want to look at the horror, that you may be facing. So people are in denial all the time.
What's it going to take then to wake them up? Is it going to take the worst?
It'll take a campaign.
I mean, we've had 9/11 already, and that didn't wake them up.
Well, it did for 10 seconds. It waked everybody up. Unfortunately, it may take an atrocity like that. What woke America up and to the importance of entering the Second World War, Pearl Harbor. So.
Education is another problem in America, and that's also been infiltrated, which you've written about extensively.
It's been more than infiltrated. The educational system has been taken over by the communist left, and I use that word advisedly, and it'll make me sound like a relic, but their agendas are identical. They don't talk about the dictatorship of the proletariat, but in the end, neither did Gorbachev. Even communists learned to change their language and to adjust their estimates of things. Khrushchev was critical of communism, and today's leftists are critical in that sense of dead communists. But their attacks on America, and this is just permeates the Democratic Party, are really no different. Corporations are evil. The distribution of wealth is wrong. Government has to take from the earners in our society and give it to the shiftless and people who are not willing to work or can't earn it. Our enemies are not our enemies. The Democratic Party betrayed the Iraq War. They voted for it. They sent our young people to die. And they turned against it for political reasons, for a presidential primary campaign. Barack Obama betrayed every American who gave his life, her life in Iraq by turning Iraq over to Iran. Nobody said anything. The president and the Secretary of State have gotten 4 Americans murdered in Benghazi. The president didn't. They were crying for help for 6 hours. The president didn't care. We don't even know where he went. It doesn't matter. He didn't care that Americans were going to be killed. It's the most un-American act by an American president I can think of. We don't leave our troops crying for help and not try to help them. Help was an hour away. Hillary is guilty, and the Republican Party in general is cowed. They have their, as Mark Levin put it, their thumbs in their mouths. They're just afraid to challenge this president. Except
Senator Ron Johnson did stand up to her and cause her to say...
It's Ron Johnson, Rand Paul, Ted Cruz. There were several... There was a South Carolina congressman whose name escapes me at the moment who was excellent on it. But yeah, I mean, everybody ducks because they think this guy is going to, survive, and he's popular now, and they're afraid of that. They don't want to lose their perks.
Why are they afraid of the Tea Party movement, but they're not afraid of Islam?
Because the Tea Party movement is not, they can't control it. I mean, why are they afraid of the Tea Party rather than radical Islam or the Muslim Brotherhood? Good question.
I want to ask you, I was a Democrat until 9/11. I saw the light. My life changed after that. And I know that you were not always a conservative guy. You've written about it extensively. I want to ask you kind of a deep question. If you hadn't had some catalytic moment, do you think that you would have stayed the same way Bill Ayers stayed? Would you have stayed on the same path you were on?
And I had contempt for Bill Ayers when I was a Marxist revolutionary. He's a rich, shallow kid, ignoramus, reckless, dangerous. But yeah, there were enough events. I've written about this quite a bit. There were enough events that I could never. I could never support Nazis. And the left today, the progressive left, is supporting Hamas. I mean, The Nation magazine is supporting Hamas. They're Nazis. I couldn't live with myself if I did something like that.